This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. So we've all seen what's happened with this Bad Monkey stuff, right? The Digitech Bad Monkey was a relatively cheap pedal from 15, 20 years ago. I had one actually when I was younger and I don't remember really particularly loving it. The main difference that it has from a real TubeScreamer is that it has bass or high and low controls, as well as having an output which has like a cab sim on it. Now of course, a guy would know, to say that, and the guy would know. Josh put up a demo of it, and for some reason people decided that that was their opportunity to make lots of money and started listing them for silly prices. I think most of the people that have listed them, they're tending to sell for, you know, twice, maybe 2 or 3 times what they were. So they were about £50. They're sort of selling now for between £100 and £150. Some people have paid upwards of like £250, and if you're a real, you know, Burke, you might list it for £10,000 because it used to belong to Gary Moore. Now, anyway, the Digitech Bad Monkey is essentially a Chinese TubeScreamer clone. Now there are a million TubeScreamer clones out there. You could get any TubeScreamer and get more or less similar sort of results, right? I wanted to find a TubeScreamer that could do the job of the Bad Monkey, maybe a little bit more, except for the cab sim thing. And what I found was this Seymour Duncan 805. It has a bass, mids and treble control, so actually a little bit more tweakable than the Bad Monkey, as well as having a better paint job, I reckon. And yeah, so I wanted to do a little video about that. I've got a couple more ideas on this, but I think it does kind of show how silly prices of pedals in general have become, right? Because this new is like £165, £180, which, you know, if the Bad Monkey hadn't gone up in price, maybe I've been making the video in the opposite direction. I picked this up for, I think, £85, something like that, which is about as much as you pay for a normal TubeScreamer, newish anyway, isn't it? But yeah, useful EQ. I think sounds pretty cool as well. Looks really good. Which the Bad Monkey obviously doesn't. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you've got other suggestions for pedals could do the Bad Monkey thing. I think the logical conclusion might be something like the G Drive, which actually has EQ pre-gain and EQ post-gain, but it's a little bit of a chunky boy. All right. So here's the 805. This is obviously Seymour Duncan's take on a TubeScreamer. You can see in the middle here we've got a bass, mid and treble control. That's what is making this, you know, slightly different to your traditional TubeScreamer, and I'll show you how it's useful, if it is or not. You can see as we kick it on, doing TubeScreamer things, drive all the way. Okay, so let's just take it one step at a time. We've got the bass here, and this is controlling 90 Hertz. So that's kind of rumble tones, and you could kind of pair this up with feel. So you can hear sometimes when you turn on a normal TubeScreamer, one of the things that happens is that that bass kind of goes away. It's like, where did the body go? With this pedal you could dial that back in and find the body. It's in the reeds, isn't it? Equally, if you had a bassy amp or, you know, some particularly bassy speakers, you might think a normal TubeScreamer doesn't do enough to tighten that up. In which case you've got that ability to cut as well. So just one more time, the sweep of that. So that's really making a big difference. I think probably the bass on the Bad Monkey does something like that, right? And the mids, these are focused at around 750 Hertz. And what you can think about this as is a way to get a more glassy tone out of the TubeScreamer. Or a more honky sound. The sweep of the knob. A really important control there. And then treble is at about 2.2. So a really important tone shaping tool there. If you had a bit of a darker amp or a bit of a brighter amp, you could just, you know, notch it back a bit. I think that's a really, really neat pedal. So we could, you know, dial in something with a bit less mids, a bit more treble, a bit more drive to get thicker low end than you'd normally get with a TubeScreamer, a bit more of a glassy response. I think this is the perfect pedal for someone who's never quite got there with the TubeScreamer, because I think this might give you the tweakability that to give you what you're looking for potentially. I think that's a really wonderful idea, and I think more tweakable than a Bad Monkey. The only thing really that it's missing is a horrible paint job, and also it doesn't have the direct out with the cab sim on it. So, important difference. I don't know how much these are new. I'll flash that up on the screen now, but certainly cheaper than a Bad Monkey at the moment. I'll catch you in another video soon. I've got a couple of more ideas in this vein, so keep an eye out for more things that you should buy instead of a Bad Monkey. I think also any TubeScreamer can do basically most of the sort of things you need from a TubeScreamer. The Ibanez TS Mini would be probably one of my first choices for cheaper pedals that actually sound really good in the TubeScreamer vein. But a TubeScreamer is a TubeScreamer kind of, so more or less you could do the things with most of them. Cheers.